Hey, Peter.
Hey.
You ready to go?
I'm ready.
You motivated?
Motivated for what?
You activated?
Activated for what?
You provocative? No.
Provocated?
Provocated. Some things never change.
Look at all those snowflakes outside.
Oh my gosh. Everybody's so sensitive outside. Look at how beautiful it looks. We got some new blinds in the studio. If you're on the audio podcast, you can't see any of this.
Well, no, we do. We've been known to paint an audio picture for our listeners.
Paint them a picture,
We're known
Peter.
for that. Okay, I'll paint you a picture. It is soft snowing out. There's very little traffic behind us. We both have our beanies on. I'm going Carhartt today, in case you're wondering. Producer Caleb is going some kind of hat.
I'm going Amazon Basics.
There's a lot of hoodies and wool because we're in the bomb cyclone. I got to tell you, so far, this thing is the bomb.
I'm having fun, man. I'm having fun in the bomb cyclone.
Because you got that nice four-wheel drive vehicle.
Oh, it's really nice. It's all-wheel drive. I don't know the difference, but...
How many wheels you got?
I got 4.
Okay, well, that
they
would
all
explain it.
drive somehow. I don't know. What I really like about my new car is that I got a little button, and it says snow, and I go, boop, and it goes, snow activated. Yeah, and then all of a
We
sudden...
went for a nice ride today to lunch, and I felt totally safe.
It's a very nice feeling, right?
was
Shout
great.
out to Subaru.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we do have the beautiful snow and a little bit gray skies, but I love this kind of weather.
it's my jam.
And this kind of weather makes me think of like writing music.
Motivated.
Okay, now I get the intro.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little slow.
There's one thing that we forgot with the intro.
Yes.
I'm Adam Menace.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear podcast.
Question mark, because we have some exciting things coming.
How to not hate.
How to
we'll
love
see.
every kind of
Two
music.
guys talking
Two
about the
guys
greatest.
It's definitely going to be two guys talking. Well, even that.
Even that, we might see.
No,
Yeah.
was it just a little bit of a sneak peek on the You'll Hear podcast? We've got some exciting things that we can't talk about yet because they have not been fully decided.
Yeah, we're going to actually, our next episode is going to be, get this, folks, number 999. That's our next
How is that
episode.
even possible?
I don't know. And we're going to talk about some of the challenges. You know, we're going to have some kind of celebration on number 1000
Challenge
for sure.
number 1. We care too much.
If we have any fault.
If we have any fault, if
We
we have any
work too
challenges,
hard.
is that we make these episodes too good. We prepare too much.
But I will tell you, and so 999 is going to be about the challenges of making this podcast and our challenges of keeping it going. And we're going to have a bit of a therapy couch session here about the podcast
On the next
podcast. But this podcast,
bread and butter.
Bread and butter. And I'm so happy because this is a SpeakPipe from one of our listeners. And if this podcast is about anything, Peter, it's about our dear listener. It's about our...
It was about jazz piano.
Yeah, but you would think that, wouldn't you?
Right.
But really, it's about you, our listener. And we couldn't have gotten, of course, to 1,000 without you. And we we appreciate you. We respect you. If we do any changes or we do any tweaks or Peter keeps changing the tagline, it's only because we want to hold your attention and we want to help you and entertain you.
We act like these changes could be. We've been changing the podcast since it started.
I was going to say, I know.
It's. I'm surprised that it's remained cohesive. But you know what? Our friendship and our love of music is what's held things together.
It's timeless.
Yes, it's timeless.
For now.
It's tired. It's tired yet timeless.
Well, this is about our dear listener, and we do
SpeakPipes have
have
been around for a while. I don't see those going anywhere.
since year 2.
Yeah.
Is when SpeakPipe.
I don't even think the SpeakPipe Corporation exists anymore, but we're holding on to their errant technology.
We're their lone customer, and they should really.
We're a customer.
There's one. Yeah, we get the free version, but there's 100% chance that no one else has branded SpeakPipe.
Look at that. Scoops of joy.
Scoops
Is that
of
going to be
joy.
popular today?
Literally, an ice cream truck just went
rolled
by
by.
through the deep snow.
I don't see any. Now, by deep, we mean St. Louis deep.
It's three
Three-quarters of
inches.
an inch.
Yeah. No, but that was funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Let's.
Let's listen to the SpeakPipe.
Here we go.
If you want to leave us a SpeakPipe, can they still do that? Yes. You go to you'llhearit.com.
You'llhearit.com.
Leave us a question at any time.
Yeah.
Now, would that be something you might be interested in?
Yes.
All right. Here's our question.
Hey guys, it's Paul from Japan. Big fan of the podcast. I've been listening for a while now. And my question is, how do you get motivated for practicing? And just getting motivated in playing in general, because I'm a beginner. I've been playing for 1 year and a half. And I've been practicing every day, and I don't feel like I'm growing And sometimes it just gets me unmotivated to play anymore. It feels like I want to quit, but I've made it this far. Why stop now? I mean, I'm having fun, but there's just times where it's hard. And I just wanna hear your opinions. Thanks.
Yeah, Paul, great question. So first out of the gate,
arigato gozaimasu.
Yeah, out of the gate, Paul from Japan. That's by the way our second SpeakPipe from Japan that we got today, which is awesome. But Paul, just out of the gate, one thing you should know is that you were not alone in this. That everybody goes through this.
Can I play a song?
Oh boy, here we go.
We're not alone.
Oh, a little 90s MJ.
Not alone.
Is that the melody?
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of a spread your wings and fly. No, can't do that. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. No, but Paul, so you were not alone in this. There are other people going through this. In fact, all other musicians, and I would even venture to say all other artists, and you might even say all other humans are going through some form of this.
The struggle is real.
The struggle is the human struggle, Paul, and you sound like you're a young man. And so the good news is the older you get, the wiser you get to that first struggle of like...
The older you get, the harder it gets.
No, I mean, well, some things do get harder.
The more self-awareness potentially, God willing, if we make it there.
You get way more, luckily, if you get anything. You get a greater chance of heart disease, but you also get a greater sense of self-awareness, which is helpful.
And the self-awareness does not mean it's attached to there's no more struggle. It's just that you're better equipped to deal with it.
Yeah.
You're expecting it. You know how to manage it. Perhaps know how to minimize it. A lot of what we talk about, I think, goes along there. But there's not the expectation that there isn't a struggle or that it's not going to be hard at times, or you're not going to feel unmotivated, or you're not going to feel like quitting sometimes.
Yeah.
That never goes away.
The first big framing you might want to do, Paul, to help you with this is to think about a couple things here. Struggle doesn't happen without expectations that aren't met. So what that means is you are only struggling because you have expectations on yourself for I should be sounding like this, I should be playing these gigs, I should be progressing in this way, and you are not meeting what you think you should be doing. Now those expectations are conditioned in you by either teachers or your parents or society in general. There is, again, no avoiding those expectations. They happen to everybody. But that struggle that you're feeling is not real. It's an illusion. There's no real struggle here. Paul, it doesn't matter if you progress at jazz piano or not. And I say this with all due love. Nobody cares. And it sounds harsh, but actually it's a very freeing sentiment in that you now have the freedom to go do what you want with it. Nobody really cares. It's both...
the notes don't matter.
The notes don't matter. No, but the notes don't matter is part of this. The notes don't matter is a freeing sentiment that it doesn't matter if you play wrong notes. That's the goal of it, is like, go have fun finding the right notes now. So when I say, Paul, that the struggle is an illusion, that it doesn't matter if you play jazz piano or if you get good at it, now you get to go with freedom. If you really can kind of work that into your daily existence, you get to go with freedom and have fun getting better at jazz piano and doing what you want to do with it. So just realize every time you feel unmotivated or like, am I doing the right thing? That's your expectation talking, right? And that expectation is 100% an illusion. It's not real. If you observe your daily experience, it's not actually there.
Yeah.
The only thing that is there is you and music.
Yeah.
You know? And so if you focus on what do I want to be doing with music today, there's no struggle. Because there's no expectation. Now go have fun and do something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
You know, so that's like for me, that was a huge lesson that I'm still learning to this day. You know what I mean? We've been talking about this podcast a lot this week, Peter, as we approach 1,000. It's something we talk about with this is like, what is the struggle? Is it, you know, as we feel a struggle with anything we're doing, including making things for Open Studio or whatever, it's really just our own expectations. It should be this. We should hit this numbers. We should be helping these amount of people. Yep. We should be connecting in this way. Those are all shoulds that we're putting on ourselves, and they're not real. It's just what we're deciding should be real. Right. It could be whatever the hell we want. We could say, I only want a podcast that unicorns listen to, and it's about the same thing. You know what I mean?
Hold on, let me write that
down.
Okay,
write that down, buddy. Write that down. No, but I just want to put that out there. By the way, this is nothing new. There's this is some pretty well-worn treads in a lot of religious circles and spiritual circles. So, but just know that struggle that you feel is actually not real. It's just something you have conditioned.
It's a construct.
It's a construct.
It's a construct that we're in control of.
Totally.
How we interact with it. It's going to be there. It's already out there in the world, but our interaction with it, and I think that speaks very much, to self-awareness.
There's no getting rid of it, by the way, either. Just you can observe it and realize.
Can ignore it.
But that doesn't help.
Okay.
Like if you acknowledge it, that helps. Right. If you say, "Oh, here's this construct again of my expectations of what I should be."
But can't we start to better control where we lie or rest within that construct? Like we can't be like, "Oh no, I'm not part of that. That's part of the human." It's just like, "No, I'm not a human."
Yeah, that's like exactly. It's like saying I'm not a person.
Right, but also the other end of it, we don't have to just submit totally to it. We're just like this, piece of cardboard floating in the ocean that has no muscles or movement or mind or whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe the self-awareness is like, okay, we can't change it today, but what can we do today, not only for my playing, but for my self-awareness and my control over where I fall in the continuum of this construct that you're talking about, and then start to see like, wow, I've got not total control, but I'm not just a feather floating in the air.
Absolutely.
Right? And maybe that's enlightenment. I don't know if we'll be able to help folks to enlightenment by the end of today's episode, but perhaps by 1,000 we will.
I mean, we've tried so hard. Right. No, but think about it like this. I mean, we love to think about our favorite musicians with music, but think about Herbie Hancock. He must feel...
Who?
Herbie Hancock. Have you heard
Herbert
of
Hancock?
Chicago's own. He must have, when he was a young man, and people like Chick Corea and Keith Jarrett were around his same age, coming up around the same time, he must have felt some pressure internally of like, oh my gosh, listen how good Chick sounds. Right. But Herbie also, who is, from his autobiography, he's thought about this kind of stuff a lot.
Sure.
And he's been around people that think about this stuff and talk about this stuff and work on this stuff. You can tell by his approach to his own self and when he plays with people like Chick that he is not caught up in that.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's not caught up like, oh my gosh.
He's aware of it.
He's aware of it. There's no, because you couldn't be. There's no way you could be.
To, as much as you can, freed himself from
He's
that.
a human being, and when he gets on stage with Chick, there's a lot of cool shit happening, and there's a bit of an interesting competition. They can tell that they're like, they love.
It's like the most positive competition
It's amazing. Both those guys, beautiful souls, right?
But I don't think either one of them would say there is no competitive joie de vivre there.
No.
And that and as the listeners, we're the beneficiaries.
We get rewarded. But they wouldn't be human if that was true.
Right. But it's not a destructive kind that it elevates the artistry as opposed to diminishing it.
But I think part of that is their work acknowledging that. When you acknowledge, like, oh, here's this construct again of my expectations. I've been playing for a year and a half, as you said, Paul. I should be here, or why am I not getting better here, or whatever. Yeah. That's your construct talking to you.
Yeah.
Like, recognize it. You can't ignore it.
Right.
But be like, oh, here that is. And then go have fun and go do what you want.
Right.
You know?
Look, that's great stuff. And some people may be like, oh, well, that's easier said than done. No, that's hard. What you're talking about is hard, but the beautiful thing about it is you don't have to, it's worthless for you to be like, I can't do all that today. No, nobody can. Not the strongest person ever, but you don't have to. If you start to understand the nuances, I think, of what you're talking about in this construct and like where we lie in it and start to make adjustments, little things, any little things that you do in terms of awareness with this is going to help you. That's part of the human experience. That's part of growth. That's part of serving others with our art by learning how to serve ourselves, to make this development. And so I think, Paul, the only thing I want to add is that you're saying things that make me understand that you are further along on the journey than you realize. So that's encouraging. Like you're saying that like you're already kind of like acknowledging that sometimes it's fun and you feel like you're progressing. Other times it's hard.
For a year in. Yeah. That's mature.
Exactly. So that's great. But what I want to add to this and to kind of Adam's concept that he laid out really beautifully is that we need to remember as artists, and I'm very inclusive in that. I'm like, anybody's an artist that is making art. So that could be your first day that you start an instrument. It's more of a mentality to say, I'm a creator. I'm a creator of art. You're not, all you're doing is placing yourself into a group that includes Vincent van Gogh, Thelonious Monk, and about 1 billion, or I don't know, hundreds of millions of other, I don't know.
There's been a lot of folks around.
Yeah. But I mean, like that's a decision that we can make. Like, just like you can say, I'm a runner if you can run 1 or 2 steps. You don't have to run a mile. You don't, that's the beginning of it. And so part of like understanding that is that art is, a lot of it is craft, but a big part of it is commitment, because you don't just commit one time at the beginning of the journey.
Yep.
That's actually the easiest time, because you're like, wow, like when you're a little kid, oh, I want to play the piano. You don't even have to understand what art is. And I want to play the piano. But saying I want to play the piano is not even saying I want to be an artist. You don't understand that till later. You're already an artist before you start to understand what it is. You may doubt if you're that many different times. But if you, especially if you come later in life to learn, like where you can actually think about these things, we sometimes get it twisted. Like we get it backwards and are like, well, you start to question whether or not you can even be an artist. That being an artist is actually the easy part, because all you have to do is make that commitment. Sticking to it can be difficult. Being a great artist is not easy. But I mean, in terms of saying I'm going to be an artist, it's about saying that I'm going to serve. I am going to entertain. I am going to uplift. I'm going to tell my story, as opposed to I'm just going to sit back and consume. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Most people go through this world as consumers, not to say that they don't work or do different things, but in terms of their interaction with art, and art in the very, inclusive term, music, poetry, words, videos, movies, different genres, all the different things that, artistic endeavors that uplift people.
Food, clothes.
Clothes,
everything
exactly.
culturally.
Yeah. So most people are consumers only of that, right? So once we make the commitment to say, I'm going to make something, I'm going to play something, I'm going to create something, you're putting yourself out there as a server. So you're a servant to the music, but you also have to serve people. If that's one person, if that's yourself, if that's your family, if that's 100,000 people, if that's 1 million, that doesn't really matter, because you're in that bucket. So put that hat on and then understand, then once you're doing that, it's work. It's like if you're at a restaurant. It's great to sit there and eat at a great restaurant. We had a nice lunch today, and to be served, right? And it's also great to be a star chef where everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. But there's a whole team of creators that do that don't get the accolades, that do or whatever. But they've made the commitment to, I'm going to make something and provide this, And we need to think about that as artists, so that when we work, we're not like, oh man, this is hard. This is it's like, whoa, wait a second. You decided to be an artist. So it's going to include work. There will be joy along with that, but not all the time. There will be accolades, but not all the time. There will be money, but not all the time. Maybe never. Like, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to go through the grind to be like, I'm doing this for the better good? It's a very kind of monk-like, both real monks and Thelonious Monk, like kind of thing that kind of the helmet that you put on to do this. And it may sound a little bit altruistic and aspirational, but it's something that I've come back to in my low points when I'm like, damn, what am I doing this for? Like, especially when you're in a position where people say to you, well, it's easy for you because everyone's always saying how great you are. And I'm like, first of all, not everyone's always saying, like, it may seem like that.
That's what I said just the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I mean, there's always going to be somebody that seems like it's being said, but the struggle is real. We acknowledge that, but then we have an understanding, and we talk to other people. We listen to podcasts, like we try to get with the community of other artists and creators to like commiserate about these things, so that we can be like, man, damn, it is hard. Let's find some ways to navigate this. Let's find some ways to soldier up.
What community's all about.
Yeah. I mean, because we're at war. I mean, The War of Art, that's a great book we got to talk about. Ooh, that might end up in some people here's stockings.
Hello.
But if it wasn't whatever December 23rd, there'd be a better chance of that. But
a little late.
Jeff Bezos, can I get you on the horn?
When is this going out? The 26th, Caleb?
Oh, this is post-Christmas, right?
Or is this going out like Friday?
We don't know.
Yeah. This might be going out on the 23rd, so.
Could be.
Yeah.
But the idea is that, being an artist is war, but it's not like, we're not having guns shot at us. Okay, so let's keep this all in perspective.
Not yet. Not yet. Well, when we do our episode on dissonance, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but I mean, but look, there's been artists that have been literally under the gun to stand up for their art. So I mean, this stuff is real, and so we should use that as inspiration. When we put ourselves into that group, we're joining a bunch of noble people that are trying to help the world. You know what I mean? And so use that energy to keep you going, to keep getting better, and then just look at it more like on those days when everything's clicking and it's fun and you're getting better. just know it's not going to be every day. And so love it on those days, you know? I mean, that's why for me, the running practice is so helpful to keep this stuff in perspective, because when you run every day, it's not all unicorns. I'm not always just running and I look over and a unicorn comes and hands me a beer as I'm
that'd
running.
Be great. I love that. That's 2 unicorn references in one episode too. We're doing a good podcast when that happens.
Didn't we have a unicorn?
Cord.
Unicorn. That was nice. None of that next year though.
I want to put some sprinkles on it. Just a couple. Paul, this is such a great, no, it's more like a beanie on a hat. Paul, which is the thing. Paul, so a couple of practical things that you might just put on this, because we're the high level stuff, Peter, is I think it's where it's at. But
yeah.
So first of all, is everything we're talking about here and those feelings that you have of doubt or whatever. So I have a practice journal, and I definitely keep track of, like, I'm learning this tune and this drop 2 voicings through this key or whatever. But most of my practice journal is me writing, like, how I feel after I practice or before I practice, or like when I'm struggling with the things you're talking about, Peter as an artist or Paul as a practicer. When I have those feelings of doubt, hit your journal and just like just start writing whatever it is. Like, just write what you're feeling, because sometimes it like puts into perspective, like, oh shit, I'm a year and a half into it and it's not that bad. Like, that's huge. The
is part of that too. Do you look and see, like, 2 days before, you're like, wow?
I never read it afterwards.
Oh, you don't? Okay, so it's more in the moment.
It's really just for the function of
I gotta get my journal game.
Get your journal game going, man. It's really good for our psychology as musicians, as practicers, as people that have tasks that are arduous and attached to our statement on the world. It's great to have an outlet for that, for our brains. So I recommend doing that. And then also just keep some practical things like tempos you want to hit. Keep track of shit you keep messing up. That's really important.
Just keep your shit organized so that you can document, wait, am I getting better? Oh, actually, I am. Because a lot of times we get down on ourselves, but we actually are making more progress than we realize.
You could actually, and
fun.
I do read it sometimes from, like, I'll read journals from, like, years ago, because those are fun. Because then you're like, oh, I remember when I couldn't do that or whatever. Yeah. Those are good. Yeah. The other practical thing is, and I've been saying this to a lot of people lately, is look on your, whatever you use to listen to music, whether that's, Spotify or Google Play or Apple Music. Look at what you've been listening to the most in the last 2 months. Do you know that music? Can you play that music?
Wow.
If you can't, that should be at the top of your list of things to work on.
Because it's going to be your easiest entry point, and your most passionate.
You've been listening to it naturally without without Peter Martin saying you should listen to this, right? Maybe it is something Peter said you should listen to, but if it's not, then don't do what Peter says you should be listening to. Follow your passions. Follow what you are interested in listening to. The reason why we preach ear training and learning things by ear so much here at Open Studio is because if you acquire those skills and you develop them, whatever's on your Spotify playlist for most listened to, go learn it with your ears and go figure it out. And you will always be rewarded with that because you're into it and you're motivated to do it. That's, for me, that's number one practical motivation, is like, what am I truly into? I've even done this with, like, TV show themes. I'll be like, I love this theme. I'm just going to learn it.
Learned it.
Yeah, I'm just going to go learn it because I really like this chord change or whatever. Like, I need to know that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So go do that.
Yeah, and I mean, just to put one more little Russian cap upon a wooden hat, is that remember that when we are progressing, we're not, exactly. We're not, I mean, we don't always realize that. So don't get too caught up in, like, oh, I'm not, like, we're getting better, like, our understanding and appreciation and the manifestation of our.
Oh, he's manifesting now.
Yeah. Of our progress is rarely right in line with our perception of it. And that's okay. So trust the process.
Hey, that was a great podcast.
RIP process.
Thank you, Paul. If you would like to leave us a SpeakPipe, go to you'llhearit.com. There's a good chance.
Also known as hownottothatejazz.com.
He's already. We'll see if we answer these in 2023. But we've really enjoyed having them. And Paul, this is an excellent question. Peter, excellent episode.
Yes.
Thank you to this.
We self-rated that. That's going to be a new segment we're going to do. Let's give this a rating.
7 stars. Review. 7 stars.
This is 7 stars.
7 stars.
Oh, we got to talk about that. Please leave us a rating.
Oh my!
Review.
Reviews.
Reviews have fallen off so badly.
It's been abysmal.
Right. If you enjoy this podcast,
oh my God,
you have 2 choices. Send us $7,777.
Oh boy.
To Adam Manis and Peter Martin. Actually, just send it to Peter Martin because I have a bank account. I'll give him half of it. But you can either do that or you can leave us a rating review, which is free. takes a little bit of time. Go to Apple. I don't think you can do it on another place. Wherever you're listening to this, go and leave us a 7-star review. That is difficult to do.
It is impossible.
Well, nothing's impossible.
Nothing's impossible.
Growth mindset. Growth mindset.
Sorry.
If for some reason you can't do it for 7, wait, camera back on me. There we go. And if you're on YouTube, just give us a thumbs up. But also go give us a review because that helps spread the podcast. We're trying to grow the podcast. If the podcast doesn't
we're not trying
grow,
to shrink
the
it?
podcast is going to end.
Oh.
Let's put that. Wait, what do we talk about? Hashtag real talk.
Wow.
Hashtag real talk. The podcast. And so you can help us do that in just this little way. I'm kind of serious here. Leave us a rating review. I've actually been doing this for some big podcasts. And I mean, just ones that I love recently.
He talks the talk, he walks the walk.
Christmas time. Yeah. I'm not going to send $7,000, but I will give a 7-star review to something. So please do that because we've been getting, this is embarrassing. We've got thousands of people listening to the podcast. We're over well over 1 million
downloads. 2 million downloads.
Oh, 2 million downloads.
Yeah.
But we've been getting like 1 rating and review per month this year. Less than.
And it's been
some love,
it's been both of our moms. They just keep going back.
Actually, they couldn't figure out how to do it.
I know, they couldn't.
I don't think they did do it. Well, you had to have an account, so.
Anyway. All right, well, until next time.
You'll hear it.